Recording in progress.
Welcome everyone to our cardio class. Our strength class is another time. So we're gonna go ahead and start with our warm up. Okay, so we're gonna make sure that we get a solid workout today. Our workout is gonna consist of several groups of exercises, and all of these exercises are gonna be a variation of more active. Some are going to be really active that your heart rate's going to just spike up almost instantly. Some are going to be a little bit more passive, but regardless, we always tend to burn somewhere between 200 to like 350 calories in this class. Make sure you have your water nearby, which I don't. I just have coffee, which is not a good way to hydrate yourself. Coffee will dehydrate you because of the caffeine. But other than that, I'll make sure to get my my water in one of the breaks. So movements are gonna be going active for about 45 seconds. This is week 6 already, so we are officially on the second half of the term. 45 seconds of work, and we'll go for about maybe 20 to like 25 seconds recovery, somewhere in there. If you need a little bit more rest, feel free to get more rest. If you want to work out slightly less than the 45 seconds, maybe 40 seconds, 35 or 30, that's fine. Listen to your body. And then in between groups of exercises, so after like every 5th movement, we'll take about 2 minutes rest, okay? Announcements for the week. This week, if you are enrolled in all of my classes, we're only meeting Monday through Thursday. No classes on Friday or Saturday. And then if you wish, next Saturday, July 11th, instead of our Saturday morning sessions, there's 2 classes on Saturday. We're going to be meeting for a walk, kind of like a little get together by Miles Square Park in Fountain Valley. TBA on the location and on the time, but I'm pretty confident it's going to be at Starbucks that's right next to Miles Square Park at around 8 a.m. Okay, so maybe 7, but I'm hoping for 8 a.m. so we could get as many people to show up as possible. But other than that, let's go ahead and start our warm up. Okay, so let's start by looking left to right over here. Get a nice warm up. If you happen to be on my next class, which is our core stability and posture, I believe, that one you'll work out plenty of core. Okay, so just keep that in mind. People could still enroll in these classes, so just keep that in mind. Up and down. And for my folks that are enrolled in my Tuesday and Thursday class, I will be doing our re-enrollment into the fall from those 2 classes. Okay, so I'll be asking in person or through Zoom, as there are neck circles, if you wish to be re-enrolled or not. And if you're not enrolled in that class, then I'll make sure to forward you the information for my fall classes. So I'll go over those 2 classes or the options, what they're going to be soon. Okay, switch. So neck circles. Not gonna lie, not meeting yesterday for any classes, not having to go for a run of my own. Let's do our snow angels. Just kind of relax and have a day off was really nice. I was just outside tidying, cleaning up a little bit in the morning, cleaned up the garage a little bit throughout the day, watched the World Cup game. It was a very nice, relaxing Sunday. Let's switch. Let's bring that right arm across, stretch out that right arm. On Saturday after the classes, I was watching the 100-mile race, the Western States. So folks have 30 hours to complete that race. and if they complete the race, they get this huge belt buckle as their reward. So usually there's medals, but on this one there's this famous belt buckle that they achieve at the finish line. Um, but yeah, I'll share a video of the first person that just missed it, but she had a pretty amazing day herself. Um, but yeah, she just missed the deadline, I think by a couple minutes. She looked like a warrior at the finish line. All right, let's do our trunk rotations. Good morning, Mr. Ahmed. Hi, Kathleen.
Morning.
Good morning. Are you gonna make the walk next Saturday?
Yes.
Good.
Next Saturday? Is
Yes.
that next Saturday?
Yeah, July 11th.
Okay, I put it on my calendar.
Yeah, awesome.
Hey, Julio, I have a question for
Yes.
you. What is Tai Chi walk?
Oh, that's news to me. You probably know more than I do. Tai Chi walk. I'm not familiar. Is that a class or a type of exercise you saw? Let's do our ab circles.
That seems to be the latest thing to do
Oh,
for older people.
yeah. I'm not sure. I wouldn't even know. I mean, I personally haven't done Tai Chi on its own. I've done the walking part, just not the Tai Chi part. So I don't know what Tai Chi walk. Does anyone else know? Is anyone familiar? Maybe anyone in here? Oh, Jan. Let me see. So our ab circle, stretching out our back. A quick Google search.
Is walk W-A-L-K or W-O-K in the Tai Chi walk?
Yeah. What, do you know, Kathleen?
No, I have to check that.
Yeah, good question. Let's do big hula hoops. Is there a difference from what you found, Jen?
I don't know if that's even a word. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's...
I wonder what it is.
I don't know.
Yeah. Because Tai Chi is pretty slow movement, right? So, I mean, I don't want to be ignorant and say that it's really slow walking, but yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe there's there has to be some type of Tai Chi component to it. So, big hula hoops. Let's switch. I feel like Ella just left, but I felt like she would have known this. We'll ask her tomorrow. Let's go with our quad stretch. So remember, the cardio, the most efficient way to burn calories is through cardio. As far as your most bang for your buck when it comes to time. You burn calories with weightlifting, but with cardio, you kind of burn it a lot quicker. And again, these are calories, not specific calories, so there's just different zones. Sometimes when you are actively moving fast, you're burning sugars quickly. So when you're moving a lot, that's where you're burning carbs. And when you're moving a little bit slower or more explosive, sometimes what we're burning is a combination of carb, protein, or fat. And then when we're reaching, we're pretty depleted, that's when we're using a little bit more protein and fat. That's almost like a starvation mode that our body goes into. But yeah, nonetheless, we're burning calories when we're doing a workout like today. So let's go ahead and do our hamstring stretch. So slide your hands down your shins, drop your hips, and then extend. And rise. All right. Last one is our deep squat. And just shift left to right. And right. Okay. All right, so find your equipment, which might just be a yoga mat and maybe having a chair nearby. Have some water as well nearby too. So we're gonna go ahead and start with our first set. So I do have a program here of the movements that we want to do, but I also like warming up into these cardio days. It's a little bit excessive or too much to start with like a burpee or some air squats or anything like that. So we're gonna start a little bit lighter. So we'll go ahead and start with some cross knees, then some cross heels to glutes. Okay, then we'll go with side step jacks. Okay, curtain closers here, and then jumping jacks. Okay, so those are going to be our first 5 movements. So nothing too crazy, but it is going to get our legs a little bit more warmed up, moving the heels, and also we'll incorporate across toes, so also opening up the hamstring. So that's really like my go-to warm-up. So anytime you're gonna do something, you want to start off a little bit slower, and as the workout progresses or as you get warmer, then that's when I would add the little bit more challenging exercises. Okay, so that's what we're gonna be doing today. And then our second set, you could expect for that set to get a little bit more challenging. Okay, all right, so with that being said, we're gonna do 40 seconds of each one. Okay, let me start this timer. Again, if you are feeling uneasy, need a break, have a seat. You're not going to get penalized for taking a break. All right, we're not in middle school PE right here where you have to run a lap if you stop halfway through. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. Just knee to opposite hip. You could go quick if you want to burn a little bit more calories. You could go a little bit higher if you want to get a better stretch. I like doing a combination of both. Just right here. So we're going to go 45 seconds. And then we'll go with 15 seconds rest for these easier ones. We're at 40 seconds. 3, 2, 1, time. All right, next one's gonna be heels to glutes. If you want, you could incorporate your arms in there. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start. So heels to opposite glute. I always have to start with my heels first, because if I try to do my arms at the same time, I get very inconsistent movements. We're at 25 seconds. For breakfast, I had a banana and 2 Greek yogurts. That was my breakfast for today. The next meal will be and time. Okay, next is going to be the side step jack. So right here. Okay. Yeah, next meal will be at noon. Maybe. 3, 2, 1, and go. Side step jack. Or you do a jumping jack if you want to burn a little bit more. So if you're feeling good, go for jumping jacks. This is usually the alternative movement we do for jumping jacks. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Okay? Curtain closers next. So reach, punch, and pull. So we're turning to your side and reach with your arm and pull so you're feeling that stretch. 3, 2, 1, go. Go. My heart rate's at about 155 right now, so we're working. Usually when I'm running, my heart rate's at like 135, 140. Right now it's much higher. 20 seconds. Keep going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right, we're gonna go with, oh, what's the next one? Oh, hands to opposite foot, okay? Right here.
I understand that the more fit you are, the slower your heart rate is.
It should, yeah. So technically, your resting heart rate, the more fit you are, your resting heart rate is usually gonna be a little bit lower. And then that should also translate to being active, but also as we're aging, there's a formula. I believe it's 220 minus your age is the formula of your max heart rate, or you want to not really hover around too much, and time. Okay, and then our last one's going to be jumping jacks. So again, I'm 37. 220 minus 37, that puts me at about 183. Jumping jacks, 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, I can't talk much right now. I'll tell you after. This one makes me breathe too hard. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right, 2 minutes rest. Yeah, so as I was saying, I remember in high school, I was 17 or so, there'd be some workouts where my heart rate was right over 200, and I was running a specific pace. And then as I got older, I would still run that pace, the similar pace, but now my heart rate would only reach like 190 or something. So again, that kind of just decreases, but yeah, it's there's a correlation with that. With the more fit you are, the more you're gonna have your heart rate a little bit lower. Also too, there's been studies where body fat or high cholesterol or just the width of your arteries, your veins, the way your blood transports, sometimes those arteries could get clogged, and so it funnels in your heart rate, which means your blood pressure is a little bit higher, and your heart has to work harder to pump that through. So that could happen too. That could influence your heart rate. Also, hydration. If you are dehydrated, your plasma volume, pretty much where your red blood cells flow, that could also dwindle. So imagine a fast flowing river just gets murky and it's not as fast flowing, so it's a little bit slower. That could influence your heart rate as well. So there's a lot of factors, and I remember in college, one of the studies, and it was this huge trend. I forget how many there is some number that every human has a calculated amount of heartbeats in their lifespan, and they weren't sure of how to go about this heartbeat. Like, how could you maximize your life if this heart rate thing or this heartbeat, if you had this max amount of heartbeats per lifetime, like how could you get the most out of it? So there's a lot of studies, and one of them was like, well, what if you work out and you become very active, so your natural heart rate is lower? And they're like, yeah, like that's a good point. But then now, when you're working out, your heart rate is spiked up and it's elevated. So it's always like, well, where's that volume? Like, where's that middle ground? And so it's there's just a combination of things, and people are still trying to like figure it out. But that's more of like a fountain of youth question. But the more fit you are, your heart rate should be a little bit lower, working at higher efforts, if that makes sense. So I think I just bored someone out. They just left. Okay. That's your science ramble of the day. All right, so our first set here, we have skater jumps. So skater jumps, remember we're here. Jump, jump, drop your hips. If we're having knee issues, give me at least a hop. That's gonna put some stress on your calf and on your hips. Okay, but if you could drop those hips a little lower, great. We have the Heisman shuffle, which is shuffle, 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 drive that knee up, shuffle, 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 drive that knee. Okay, a lot of lateral movements on this one. We have bunny hops, which is just like jumping an imaginary jump rope over here, activating your calves. And I believe we have inchworms. Okay, so inchworms, if you remember those, you could do inchworms or burpees. I don't know who's gonna do burpees on their own willingness, but here to a high plank and then just coming back. Okay, all right, 4 movements for this second set. Ready? Skater jumps in 3, 2, 1, and go. So jump side to side, and if the jump isn't as far or as low, just shift your weight from one leg to another. We're still stressing the joints and the muscles there, but if you have a little bit more mobility, ankle strength's there. These actually feel better barefoot. When I'm doing these on my shoes, I feel like the platform of my feet, of my shoes, throws me off a little bit. And last one, okay, very good. Next, we have our Heisman, okay? We're gonna throw in a high knee progression onto these as well. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Knee drive. I feel like this is one of those like line dancing steps. 15 more seconds. And then this is like where everyone turns, and then the music gets faster, and then people start running into each other. And time. I could never do that dance. Not coordinated like that. Bunny hops, okay? So your jump rope over here. I'm gonna use my yoga mat for my toes. 3, 2, 1, and go. Okay, we're already at 115 calories. I'm gonna hop towards my fan real quick. Oh, that's too much power for that fan. I'm gonna come backwards. 25 seconds. Looks like you got a party in there, Jan. Jen's got some music playing. The best part is her camera follows her around the house, so. And time. Okay? We're gonna go with our high knee progression. I'm just throwing this one in there. So high knee march for 15 seconds, high knee skip 15, and then high knee run for 10, okay? 3, 2, 1, and go. So just march, high knees. Just bring that knee as high as you can. All right, and skip. So skip, we're just staying off our heels, driving that knee up. And run. So now we're really moving. And time. Okay. Inchworms. Okay, so give yourself some space. Inchworms. We're gonna walk out into a hand plank, then back, and begin. So crawl out into a high plank, and come back. Repeat. Three, 2, 1, and time. All right, 2 minutes rest. Oof. Yeah, if you want to check your heart rate, the best time to do it is early in the morning when you wake up and you're still in bed laying flat. That's the best time. Okay? The moment you start walking around or you get up and sit down on the side of your bed and try to take your pulse, you're already compromising with your resting heart rate. Okay. All right, next is gonna be a plyometric switch lunge. Okay, so this is a new one. It's just gonna be a quicker lunge. So pretty much we're just gonna be a fast lunge right here, okay? So pretty quick. We're not going too low. We're not doing a full lunge. Okay, so you see my hips. We just wanna be fast. Okay, that's gonna be our plyometric switch lunge. Then we have pop squats. Pop squats. Remember, this one, keep your torso upright. You don't want to be doing this lean. It's not a lower back movement, it's a leg movement, okay? Then we do lots of squats on this one. 3 leapfrogs, jog back. So 1, 2, 3, and then just walk back, and then repeat. 1, 2. So working on your legs and on your calves. Okay, then we have over the line. So on both feet, imagine a line down the middle of your room, and you're gonna be jumping back and forth over it. So, okay. So just like a bunny hop, but this is adding an ankle stability component too. So it's making your ankles a little bit stronger because we're shifting left to right. And then sumo squat jacks, okay? So you're here low, and then so about 3 different types of squats on this one. Okay? All right. We are starting in 20 seconds. Ooh. Good job. Got 160 calories. Who left? I'm trying to figure out who left. Josefina? No, she's there. Oh, I think it's Corina and Luisa left. Ready and begin. So quick lunges. So you can just keep your hands at your side. Just be quick. Remember, you don't have to go too low for these. Sometimes when we do lunges, sure, we want to work out the muscle. This one, we're just, this class specifically, we care more about getting our heart rate up. We're at 30 seconds. Woo! Coffee just hit me. 3, 2, 1, time. Ooh. Okay. What's next? Our pop squats. Okay? So remember pop squats? Three, 2, 1, go. Fifty more seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. All right, what's next? Just our pop squats. We have our leapfrogs, okay? 3 leapfrogs forward, walk back. 3, 2, 1, go. So 1, 2, 3, come back. 1, 2, 3. So it's like an air squat, but we're moving forward. And you want to stay low. Good job. 15 more seconds. Keep it going. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. All right. What's next? Over the line. Okay, ankle stability. Ooh. I burn my most calories in the week on Mondays and Fridays. Ready? And go. Mondays mainly because I try to run twice on Monday, but I also have these 2 back-to-back classes. Makes it pretty challenging. So again, remember, shift left to right. Okay, and if that's too much, you can slow it down. And you can pick it back up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. Woo! Pop squats? No, what did I say? Squat. Squat. Sumo squat jacks. Remember, those are start low. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. This one's slower. Feel that burn. Ten more seconds. Three, 2, 1, time. Woo. Good job. Good work. Alrighty. What do we have next? Dumbbell plank through. Okay. Squat. Jump. Alright. So next, we're going to go ahead and do, what do we have here? Reverse lunge kick is next. Okay, reverse lunge kick. And then after that, we have prisoner elbows to knee squat. So a little bit of core, but just actively moving. And then we're going to be on the floor, okay? Go. So prisoner, so yeah, just these. So reverse lunge kick, prisoner squats, and we'll finish off. What should we do? We'll do 5 burpees to finish off, okay? And then that will be our class. We have 30 seconds. I'm gonna try to scarf down a quick snack right now before the next class. Alrighty. Reverse lunge kick, 20 seconds on each one. Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So reverse lunge, kick. Let's do 8 on each leg, okay? It's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Then we're gonna switch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right. 15 seconds rest. We'll go actually across.
You need some carbs.
What's that?
You need carbs.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking of getting a couple of Julian's waffles right now. So let's go and grab our prisoner squat position and elbow to opposite knee, okay? 3, 2, 1, and go. So making more of an effort of bringing your shoulder to your opposite knee. I know the elbow to knee is a little bit more tempting, but make it more about your shoulder. And not your neck or your head either. More shoulder. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. Oof. Yeah, I think on Mondays I get like 24 to like 25,000 steps with these classes and my runs. Oof. All right, and then our last one. What did we say we were gonna do? Why did I forget?
Burpees. 5
Yes.
burpees.
Debbie's like, how can I forget? Thanks, Debbie. 5 burpees. Okay, 5 burpees or 8 inchworms. Okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. So jump. Plank out. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do 8. I'm actually getting a nice breeze from these. I think the caffeine from the coffee hit me just now for those 20 seconds. Woo! All right, everyone. If you're not with me in the next class, hopefully you had a good session, burned 230 calories here on my watch. Woo, heart rate is at 140 right now. What about you, Jen?
116 calories.
There you go.
Heart rate 125.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, I'm sweating. So I'll see the rest of you on Wednesday if you're not with me tomorrow. And then the ones that I'm seeing in the next hour, I'll see in about 15 minutes or so. So, all right. Don't get too cold. We have some core and some posture stuff. See you soon.